Oh, Navi's the end of the month. Are you sure? So they're only announcing Zen 3 on 2 days from now? I wonder why they're staggering it. Oh, I guess to get more media coverage. No. Okay, you know what I think's gonna happen? The Infinity Cash thing kind of tells us what they're gonna be doing with this card. I don't think it's going to be either of those things. So we know that Big Navi has a 256 megabyte bus, right? So with regular GDDR6. So right away that cuts it off from anything 4K related. Like in terms of it's not going to beat Ampere at 4K or higher. Not a chance. Like I would put money on that. It doesn't matter what kind of it doesn't matter what kind of special high bandwidth cache, or let's say Big Navi, they say it's supposed to have 128 megs of cache at L3, which is unified on all the cores or whatever. That's not going to help 4K. That's literally not going to do anything with 4K. What do we know about large cache sizes from Zen chips, right? We know that increases latency. And what do we know with latency? From Intel chips. 1080p performance. It does increase the latency, but that's offset by not having cache misses, right? So that can be, you can consider that a net positive in the latency department. It's still better to have a larger cache than it is to have a lower cache but a higher latency. You know, it kind of works that way. So my theory is these things are going to be 1080p champs. So what they're doing is, so the thing about Ampere and those massive, so NVIDIA knew, okay, how do I start this? NVIDIA knew that Ampere was going to scale better with higher resolutions, right? So they threw GDDR6X on that shit to increase bandwidth, and then the higher the resolution, the more it scales. That's just the way the architecture works. AMD would not be able to compete that way without using HBM. If they use HBM, profit margins are gone. And then they're back to square one with Vega and shit, right? What they could do instead, make a cheaper card, 256-bit bus, increase the cache. I'm pretty sure they power limited the 2080 Ti because they could. Because now with Ampere, like, they're not dumb. Like, they could increase the power limit for Ampere, and that would count as a performance boost to the average pleb, right? The average pleb doesn't care about power consumption. So, like, if they had a 2080 Ti at 320 watts or whatever out of the box, yeah, exactly. So what would the benchmarks be telling us right now if they were both at 300? It would be like the 3080 is 5%, 10% faster at 4K. It's garbage. But instead, it's 30 to 40% faster, and it's amazing. Exactly. Right? That's why if you can, it's always worth it to artificially segment your products with power limitations, because the reviewers are always going to review out of the box, right? So that also leaves you room for a refresh too. So even at 320 watts, we know that the 3080 is still power limited. Kind of going off on a tangent now, but let's say Big Navi does compete in some miracle, They can just increase the wattage by 30 watts and it'll scale that much farther. You know what I mean? It's the lower you have the power limits, the more you can throw that shit out as like a trump card later. That's what it's for, right? I'm getting coffee here. So, what I was saying about the Infinity Cache shit. With a gigantic cache size on L3, and with the rumored 2.2 gigahertz clock speed, which also translates to cache latency on GPUs, right? It's all adding up now, right? The faster the core speed, the faster the cache can react. So, what you're gonna see happen, which I kind of predicted this in one of my earliest 3080 videos, is you're going to see you're going to see a deviation of marketing and where the cards are going to land. So you know that Ampere scales at 4K, you know they have RT, you know they have DLSS. All of these features that Ampere and Nvidia are marketing are at the high resolution, AAA, premium gaming experience thing, right? AMD, on the other hand, clock speeds, high cache, power efficient, cheap. Where do you think they're going with all this? They're going for 1080p esports. That's all. That's literally it. So, what they're going, how they're, watch what's gonna. They can't. Ampere doesn't scale with 1080p. The architecture itself does not scale with 1080p. That's the problem. And Ampere doesn't scale with clock speed. I mean, it does, but it doesn't get a high enough clock speed. The node is garbage. That's what I mean. So if a 36, hang on, let me finish that thought. So what you're gonna see with Big Navi, they're going to say that they're faster than the 3090. But all you're going to see in the leaks and rumors coming up are going to be 1080p slides. Mark my words. And then if you actually do see 1080p slides, you know exactly what's going to happen. Or 1440p slides, right? So you have an 80CU Navi that does 2.2 gigahertz, massive amounts of cache. That's going to be the 1440p, 1080p king, right? So in terms of the 3060 and the 3070, that's interesting. I know that's the maybe that's why they're releasing Zen 3 first, huh? To like use those chips as the benchmarks. Cause hang on, let me get there. So in terms of the 3070 and the 3060 being 1080p cards, I bet you they're gonna be marketed as 1440p cards. The Samsung 8nm node just cannot clock as high as the TSMC 7nm. It just that's the way it is. And the Navi chips are gonna have that massive cache. Nice, dude. Welcome to the stream. Glad to see ya. Here comes Blacks. There is a theory out there that Nvidia pushed back 3070 so AMD cannot compare these cards to weaker. No, I would honestly just say that they delayed the 3070 to see what the pricing needs to be. That's the most obvious answer, I think. Like, if AMD releases a 70 class card with 16 gigs of RAM and charges $500 or whatever, but if Nvidia released the 3070 first at $500, that would fuck them over hard, you know what I mean? But if they just wait a little bit, see what, that's probably the most easiest answer. They just delayed it for the... Am I gonna stream the Zen 3? Probably not. What time is it at? I don't think I have a big enough following for that, to be honest. Maybe, but I mean, every tech tuber in the world is going to be doing that shit. I also like to watch other people too, right? Hang on, let me scroll up a little bit here. AMD not taking advantage of this opportunity. We don't know if they're going to take advantage of the hype yet. The hype started with that leaked picture, though. There you go. Oh, the coffee hit us. Like as soon as that picture that Jay's 2 cents released or whatever, the hype started after that, man. That thing's beefy as shit. So, and oh yeah, will Intel be using I wonder, will they use Intel chips to benchmark 1080p results? I don't know. That's a good question. We do know that PCI Express 4.0 does help Zen chips in 1080p though. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. Intel chips are faster at 1080p, doesn't matter. God, that's a good question. We have to wait and see how Zen 3 performs. Okay, you know what we can do? If the Zen 3 happens 2 days from now, and if all the benchmarks are showing, we have to see what games stuff they bench. If it's all like productivity and Ashes of the Singular and all this like random shit, then you know right away Intel's gonna be faster. If they do like, you know, no, you can't use CSGO either. That fits in the cache. They have to do games that don't fit in the cache. Like, we'll have to wait and see. Now I remember. You're going to see a product segmentation. Nvidia is going to advertise that they are the premium brand. If you want to play 4K, if you want to play 8K, they're already doing it. If you want to play with your ray tracing and your cyberpunk, you want to play on your OLED TV, if you want that immersion, if you want to play Star Citizen or whatever, blah, 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 you're going to want Nvidia. AMD is going to be like, hey, man, Fortnite's the most popular game on the planet. So is Rocket League. So is League of Legends. No one cares about that premium experience shit. Here you go. Here's your 1080p FPS monster. That's what they're gonna do. They don't. If they market the 1080p route and they're like, we're the 1080p kings, they don't need a DLSS. They don't need ray tracing cores. They do need a streaming encoder though. They have to fix that. If they don't implement some sort of NVENC competitor, streamers are still not going to be buying their cards, or competitive esport players. They have to fix that shit. Yeah, that's my theory on what's going to be happening here with the big Navi chips, which I might even get one if it is like that. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like that. And then if they do go that route, they don't need the memory bandwidth. They can do all that shit on a 256-bit bus. They can make the cards cheap as hell. 1080p draws like no power, so they can market the cards as being way more power efficient, even though there might not be, right? It all lines up. It all lines up with how AMD is gonna market this shit. Trust me on this. So we're gonna need you know what we'll need? We'll need a PCI Express 4 motherboard, and then we'll need an NVIDIA GPU on the top slot or whatever slot, and then you'll need a big Navi in the second slot, both running 8 lanes of PCI Express 4.0, so you can't bottleneck them. And then if you're playing on your OLED TV or whatever, you're gonna have your like 4K experience. You have to like transfer video cards, and then if you're playing like an esports game, you just run you run your 360 hertz monitor off the Navi card. That would be an option. And then you could use the NVENC encoder while you're streaming still, because you have both cards in your system. I'm a genius. I'm a genius. Oh yeah, dude. I might even just go that route. I shit you not. What will AMD have in place of DLSS? I don't know, dude. I don't see them having anything. And that's not like... That's not me... like shitting on AMD, but like I'm just saying, like, it took Nvidia a year and a half of like shitty DLSS before the algorithm got the hang of it. You know what I mean? So like we had a year and a half of trash DLSS of like the blur filter, you know what I mean? So Microsoft DirectML hasn't launched to my knowledge, so they haven't been training it, okay, to my knowledge, right? They haven't been training DirectML, and the PlayStation 5 hasn't launched yet, so they can't use the algorithm for that either. So they can't use the algorithm from the PlayStation, they can't use the algorithm from the Xbox, and AMD hasn't been training anything themselves yet, because they didn't have it in the 5700X series, right? So I don't think that AMD is going to have a DLSS competitor for at least another year and a half or 2 years, just because they haven't trained anything yet. They might have the hardware for it, like, or we know that the PlayStation is going to have like and the Xbox has custom checkerboard upscale chips. Maybe they'll do that. Maybe it won't be AI based at all. Maybe it'll just be a separate fixed function hardware on the chip that'll just do upscaling. That's possible. That would be the easiest approach. The fixed function checkerboard upscaler is easy to implement because it just takes the pixels and then quads them into 4K from 1080p or whatever, right? I would say the thing that they're farthest behind on right now. Oh shit. The thing that AMD is farthest behind on right now is the encoder and the NVIDIA broadcast suite. You like that shit alone makes AMD unpurchasable. It's that far. Like even if I wanted a big Navi card or something, I'm not gonna get it just because it doesn't have like the blur background. It doesn't have RTX voice. It doesn't have the NVENC encoder. I can't stream off of it. I can't do shit with it. It's like, it's a gaming card only. There's no features. That like features, whatever you want to call a feature, right? Software suite, I would say. Software suite. 100% fan speed, yeah. Never mind DLSS and RT. So like even if AMD does win like the frame war, they just don't have the features to compete. They really don't. Your projections and guesses are so funded and technologically educated. Thank you? I guess? It just seems like common sense to me, though. That's the thing. Like, you can learn what's gonna happen by just watching what's around you. I don't know. I think, right? Ashes of the benchmark. I know it's such a, I don't know. But dude, you have to remember. I just started YouTube like 2 months ago. Like the fact that I've grown this fast in 2 months is insane. Like that's like first of all, no human should ever compare themselves to another human. That'll just drive you mad in general. Just don't do it. Just work on your own goals first of all. Second of all, as I say that, I have compared myself. So like I've seen other tech channels that have been uploading for like 2 or 3 years, like consistently, and they have like 400 subs. And their content is pretty good. Like it's not even bad content. Like It doesn't matter, man. Like maybe if I'm still at 1,000 subs a year from now, I'll revisit and see what I'm doing wrong. But as of right now, I'm not gonna. Yeah, like I'm really happy with how things are going, and I'm happy that I don't have to do surprised face clickbait shit to get clicks, which is what this stream is. We're actually okay. This is for the stream. I'm going to re-upload this on YouTube, and I'm going to do a surprised face, and I'm gonna do a clickbait fucking thumbnail just to see what happens. Like, I want to see if it blows up to like 100k views or some shit. And then if you hang on, I'll get to the chat in a second. I'm on a rant right now. But Buildzoid did this one video where he was going over the PCB of the 6900 XT, or not the PCB, the 3D render in Fortnite. And that video, I've mentioned this a few times, got like 50k views or some shit. And he was like, in the follow-up, he was like, I'm so disappointed in you all that my lowest effort video got the most clicks. Like, he literally said he was so disappointed in the community. I'm like, bro, like as genius as that guy is, and he made a click video just to test it, and it blew up. He's like, it's the way the market, it's the way our industry is going now, especially with more lockdowns and stuff, and people staying home a lot more. You're getting a lot more of a casual audience, more plebs and shit that want to know what the next best thing is. Hang on, I gotta scroll up here. Moore's Law is Dead is only 2 or 3 years old as well. So he's growing on an average pace, I would say. Like an average successful pace. So he's going to continue to grow, right? But like in 100k subs in 3 years is where you kind of want to be in 3 years for a goal to be full-time, I want to say. Full-time YouTuber. Yeah, because you know the 10900K is such a good gaming chip. And the fact that it only has 16 PCI Express 3.0 lanes is a huge fail. Like that, if they added 4 more lanes or something, if they just added something, it would have been a completely different product. But it has 16 fucking lanes, and it's their PCI Express 3.0. Or at least if it had PCI Express 4.0 on the first slot, they could have done that. They could have just had PCI Express 4.0 on the first slot, so then you could run your graphics card in the first slot at 8 times, and then have a RAID array for your NVMEs on the second slot, and then you would have been future-proofed. But they didn't do that. And if Rocket Lake goes back down to 8 cores, dude, I'm not getting it. I'm not going back to 8 cores. It's not enough. You need 10 cores or more to just to be able to play comfortably and stream and shit, right? 8 cores is not enough. Do you think RAM frequency won't change on the next Zen 3 CPUs? That is literally going to be the make or break factor on whether or not it wins in gaming. Okay, first of all, we know that the Zen 3 chips are going to have 20% faster 20% faster IPC. What we don't know is how the Infinity Fabric is going to work. So what you're not going to want to do. Okay, we have to wait for reviews, but let's say if you are a day one buyer of Zen 3, do not get a 5900X and do not get a 5600X. Don't get those ones. The reason being, paint, good old paint. The reason being, we know that all 6 cores, like this, are on 1 CCD, right? But if they actually, and let's say this is a 5900X, all right? So there's 3, right? So if the Infinity Fabric is the same RAM speed as Zen 2, then all you're really getting is a 3300X with 6 cores improvement. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you get the 5800X and it has 8 cores on 1 CCD, this one in red here is going to game better than the 2 6s. Mark my words. If the Infinity Fabric is shit, mark my words. You're gonna want a single 8-core CCX. You're gonna want the 3700X, 5700X, or the 5950X with 2 8 cores. You're not gonna want to do this split 6-core shit. Trust me. So, oh yeah, one more thing I wanted to say here. So when it comes to the 10900K versus 3800X or whatever, okay, so we're gonna assume that the Infinity Fabric is not improved at all and it clocks the same 3600, let's say, right? If the Infinity Fabric is the same, what you're gonna see in gaming is a split down the middle, where games that can fit within the core cluster of the 8 cores. So let's say, where's my paintbrush? Shit. So let's take CS:GO as an example. You got your 8-core Zen 3, right? If Counter-Strike can fit all within this cluster and not go out on the Infinity Fabric, Zen 3 will win gaming. If you have your 10900K, 10 cores, Skylake, whatever, fuck. And let's say you have a game like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, where it'll use all that shit and with low latency, this is gonna win gaming. Is it because if the game uses more than 8 cores, right, and it has to go out on the fabric, it loses right away. As soon as you what's the word? As soon as you have to include any kind of Infinity Fabric movement in gaming, it's done. It's gone. It loses. It doesn't matter how large they make the cache. It doesn't matter how much the IPC increases. It's not gonna matter PCI Express 4.0. It doesn't matter. The cache on a 10900K goes up to 5 gigahertz. The ring clock. You cannot beat that. It's a monolithic die, right? That's my prediction anyway for Zen 3. But so when 2 days from now, when the announcement comes out, if you see a bunch of games that they're touting, first of all, look for productivity benchmarks. If it's all about productivity, you know Intel's still gonna win. If all the games are like old source games like Counter-Strike, Half-Life, or if they're... What's another good example that they use that the Zen 2 won in gaming? I don't remember now. Was it PUBG? I literally don't remember. They used a whole bunch of games. Oh, like League of Legends and Rocket League and shit. All games that can fit in the cache. If they show all of those games, then Skylake still wins right away. I will guarantee. I'll put money on that shit. If they show games like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Horizon Zero Dawn, what's the other game there that hates Zen? Far Cry New Dawn. If they show that shit and it wins, then we might be looking at an upgrade, boys. then yeah. But that's what to look out for in 2 days from now. This is the be all end all. And if they end up still losing, then Intel doesn't even have to release Rocket League. They don't have to do shit. Like, yeah, that's my prediction anyway for Zen 3 CPUs coming up. What do you guys think about that? Agree, disagree? I could be wrong. Could be wrong. The IPC might. I don't think so though. As soon as that's why I say don't get a 5600 XT or a 5900 XT, because if you have 6 cores or 6 plus 6, the game is much more likely to go out into the fabric, and if you do that, you're fucked in terms of gaming performance. That's pretty much why I don't recommend the 3600 either, because it has 3 and 3, right? Anyway, or we could be wrong, and the fabric clock might go to 4 gigahertz or some shit. If that would be absolutely insane. I doubt it though, but I haven't heard anything about the fabric clock speeds at all. I hope so, dude. I just, all we need to know is the fabric speed and what games they benchmarked. That's all we need to know, and we'll know everything after that. But okay, this is actually starting to piss me off, so I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for joining, guys. I will great stream again, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Talk to you later. Thanks again. I'll join. That link for the Discord is gonna work for one. Actually, wait. Okay, that link is gonna work for 1 day. So if you or any of your friends want to get in, that's the link you gotta use. All right.